Damian Moreno valued silence above all things. His life was a precise machine, each gear perfectly aligned, until that night. He had returned from London exhausted but triumphant, eager for solitude in his Victoria Island mansion. His private jet had landed smoothly, and Hector, his loyal driver, had delivered him home in his Rolls-Royce without incident. Damian expected whiskey, soft jazz, and the comfort of his familiar sanctuary. What he did not expect was company. From the moment he stepped inside, things felt wrong. The hallway lights were already glowing, though he had never left them on. A candle flickered on the entry table, an item he never used. His nostrils caught the faint aroma of something savory. Lasagna? Impossible. Damian didn't cook, and he certainly hadn't eaten here in weeks. His suspicion deepened when he noticed slippers by the door, not his. In the kitchen sink, 2 plates sat rinsed but still damp. Someone had been here. Someone was still here. The distant sound of music carried through the air, soft but unmistakable. His jaw tightened. Whoever had invaded his house had chosen the worst possible place to hide, his master suite. Damian moved with deliberate quiet, each step a controlled whisper on the marble floor. The bathroom door was ajar, golden candlelight spilling through. He nudged it open, and what he saw nearly stunned him still. There, in his bathtub, sat a woman. Naked, glowing, her voice spilling into the tiles as she sang like she was the star of her own concert. She was oblivious to his presence, lost in the swirl of music, candles, and steam. Damian's voice cut through the air, low and dangerous. "Who the hell are you?" The woman's scream could have shattered glass. Water splashed everywhere as she leapt up, arms clutching her chest, hair plastered across her startled face. "Oh my God. Please don't hurt me. Take whatever you want. My phone, my jewelry. I swear I don't have anything valuable." Damian groaned, turning away. "Stop. Just stop talking." But she didn't. Words poured from her like a rushing river. "I knew this was too good to be true. The price was suspicious, but I just wanted peace. Damn it. Peace on my birthday. For once, not armed robbers breaking in." "Shut up," Damian snapped, his patience evaporating. "Put some clothes on. Meet me in the living room." 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, she appeared. She had pulled a cream-colored robe from the wardrobe, her damp hair framing her flushed cheeks. Her eyes, however, were blazing, and her mouth wasted no time. "First of all," she began, waving her hands dramatically, "you don't just barge in on women in bathtubs. Who does that? For all I knew, you were a murderer." Damian raised a hand to silence her. "Enough. Let's start again. Who are you?" "Lena. Lena Moreau." His brows lowered. "Just the name." "Well then, Lena Moreau, reputable lawyer, heartbreak survivor, and, apparently, a very confused victim of luxury home invasion." Damian pinched the bridge of his nose. "This is my house. Damian Moreno. Care to explain how you ended up here?" Lagos never really slept, even silence felt loud. For Lena Moreau, the city's noise had finally seeped under her skin. After 3 years of marriage, 3 years of makeup hiding bruises, smiles disguising panic, and careful footsteps through a house that never felt safe, she left. No drama. No shouting. Just a packed suitcase, a steady spine, and a gate closing behind her. At 25, she'd already clawed her way into a respected legal career, sharp in court, composed in boardrooms. Lately, though, the mirror showed a woman running on fumes. Her birthday was approaching, and for once there would be no brunch, no staged photos, no captions pretending everything was fine. She wanted quiet. She wanted a place where her shoulders could drop and her breath could stretch. A late-night search led her to a listing on Victoria Island, a pristine 3-story mansion with emerald lawns, an infinity pool, and a freestanding tub that shimmered like a promise. Floor-to-ceiling windows, velvet curtains, marble everywhere, the sort of place featured in magazines. The price made her squint. Too reasonable. Suspicious. Reviews glowed anyway. The host claimed a birthday promotion. Tired but hopeful, Lena booked it. By noon the next day she arrived, cream jumpsuit swishing, scarf wrapped around her braids, sunglasses shielding the tender parts of her. Hector the driver wasn't part of her world. She rolled her own suitcases to the coded gate, tapped in the numbers, and stepped into a palace. Inside, everything gleamed. Ivory sofas. Gold-rimmed chandeliers. Real art on the walls. She unpacked, lit a few candles of her own, cooked lasagna, and, for the first time in ages, ate without bracing for a comment or a slammed door. As dusk folded into velvet, Lena ran a bath. Lavender oil. Low lights. A speaker by the window. She played her favorite track and sang, off-key and free, warm water lifting the last shards of her tension. In that moment she felt invisible to the world and perfectly fine with it. Then the world walked in. Her scream ricocheted off marble when a man's silhouette sliced through the door's crack. In a blink she tumbled to cover herself, begging him to take whatever he wanted. Phone, jewelry, anything, just not her safety. He turned away with a grim groan and a command. Clothes, living room, 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, still damp and defiant in a cream robe, she found him seated on a velvet sofa, broad-shouldered, immaculate, annoyed. She scolded first. He raised a hand. Names, he insisted. She gave hers, he gave his, Damian Moreno. His house. Her explanation tumbled out. Booking confirmation, access code, messages. She thrust her phone at him. He scanned, exhaled, and laughed once, dry and bitter. My parents, he said. Another one of their schemes. Curated matchmaking. Your parents listed your house. Lena blinked. Without asking. They have access, he admitted. They designed half of it. Unhinged, she muttered. You'll be refunded. Pack up. No, she replied, steady. I paid for 2 weeks. I came here to breathe. I'm staying. He rubbed his temple, incredulous. Then stay out of my way. Gladly, she said, claiming the opposite end of the couch like a tiny kingdom. And next time you see a naked woman in a tub, try knocking. Next time, he asked, exasperated. You never know, she said, and for the first time since she'd arrived, Lena smiled. Damian slammed his bedroom door and dialed. Mom. Dad. What is wrong with you? His mother's voice floated through, airy and amused. His father's followed, steadier. They framed it as harmless. A nudge toward life. He called it a breach. I want her gone by morning, he finished, voice like a locked vault. He hung up before the cooing reassurance could wear him down. Downstairs, Lena's phone rang with an unknown number. Hello. Lena, dear, Mrs. Moreno, the caller said gently. We're terribly sorry. Our intention was to give our son a little company. And you seemed like someone who deserved peace. Oh, Lena replied, arching an eyebrow at the ceiling. A rom-com plot, then. Not quite, came the nervous laugh. We'll refund you double if you could relocate tomorrow. Thank you, Lena answered, polite but firm. I paid for 2 weeks. I chose this place to feel safe. I'll stay, and I'll stay out of his way. A soft pause. Understood, Mrs. Moreno said, a whisper of admiration in her tone. Morning smelled like butter and childhood. Damian woke to it, confused and curious. Following the aroma to the kitchen, he found Lena, headphones on, pink tee and silk shorts, hips swaying as she flipped pancakes. The counter displayed a careful arrangement: syrup, butter, fruit, fresh juice. She spotted him, stilled, then calmly plated 2 servings. She slid one toward the end of the island and took the other to her room, offering only, "Good morning." He told himself he wouldn't touch it. He failed. The first bite disarmed him. The last left him oddly settled. Beneath the empty plate, a neat note: wash your dish when you're done. Thanks. He muttered about her nerve, and then washed the dish. By the 4th night, a rhythm had emerged. The house carried 2 quiet routines, his measured, hers warm. He heard her humming glide past his study, her laugh rise through the wall when she called a friend, the soft thud of slippers mapping hallways that once felt sterile. She respected boundaries. She also made the place feel alive. Close to midnight, thirsty and restless after a brutal investor call, Damian drifted toward the kitchen. On the back porch swing, Lena was a silhouette in satin, knees tucked under, phone at her ear. He stopped in the doorway, unseen. Her voice was hushed and raw. I don't understand, she whispered. His public with her. Calls her his queen. Flowers, hand-holding. All the things I begged for. Now I'm an old page, he tore out. A tissue rustled. The confession landed heavy and lodged under Damian's ribs. He slipped away without a sound, pulse unreasonably loud for a man who hated complications. In his room, he stared at the ceiling, then dialed another number. Victor, he said when the investigator picked up. Quiet, fast background check. Name's Lena Moreau. I want to know everything. Everything. Victor echoed. Everything, Damian repeated, and ended the call, unsettled by how much he suddenly needed to understand the woman sleeping down the hall. Victor's report arrived before noon. Concise, clinical, impossible to ignore. Top of her law class. A career built by grit. A year-long gap stitched with a messy divorce, a hospital visit for a minor domestic injury, the sale of most possessions, and a life packed into 2 suitcases. No scandal, no swindle, just a woman who had survived and kept moving. Damien reread the page where her resignation letter was timestamped 1 month after the hospital report. It told an entire story without dialogue. Guilt scratched at him. He'd treated her like an intruder when she was clearly just trying to breathe. That afternoon, he found Lena on the stairs in a sundress, humming again. "Hey," he ventured. She paused. "Hi. Do you ever talk to anyone about it?" He kept his palms visible, voice lighter than his usual steel. "About what? What happened with your ex?" He swallowed. "I heard you the other night. You didn't deserve that." Her eyes cooled, then softened. "You've been not exactly delightful," she said, a slant of humor saving them both. "But tea might help." Mint steam braided the quiet in the living room. They talked, cautious at first, then easy. He turned out to be a better listener than she'd expected, and his wit, when it surfaced, never pressed for dominance. She teased him about never settling down. He admitted he'd made a habit of choosing work over warmth. "Lonely?" she asked, then regretted it. "Sometimes," he answered, unflinching. Later, as the skyline burned gold, he said, "There's a charity gala next weekend. I have an extra invitation. Come with me." Lena blinked. "Damien, I'm not in a party era." "I know," he said, gentle. "Maybe it's time the world sees what someone tried to bury." The line could have clanged. Instead, it opened something. "I'll think about it," she said. He nodded, relieved. No pressure. Then, almost offhand, "You're gorgeous, Lena. You should know that." He escaped before she could answer, leaving her heart to outrun itself. By morning he was out early, and up to something. Staff at an exclusive boutique watched, half-stunned, as Damien Moreno shopped in person. He chose a navy evening gown, silk and velvet with a thigh-high slit and a sweetheart neckline, matching satin heels with a whisper of rhinestone, a diamond teardrop necklace with studs, and, after a beat, a navy lace set he picked with awkward certainty. He booked a top-tier glam team for 4 o'clock and drove home with the garment bags like contraband. While Lena showered, he slipped into her guest room and arranged everything on the bed: dress, shoes, jewelry, the discreet extra, topped with a small handwritten note. "You're stronger than you know. Thank you for saying yes. Glam at 4 p.m. Can't wait to see you." Lena emerged moments later, towel turbaned, robe loose, and froze. Her smile rose fast and helpless. She touched the silk as if it might sing. At exactly 4, the glam squad arrived, polished and efficient. Hair swept up with soft ringlets, gold-kissed lids, a clean wing, nude gloss. When she stepped into the gown, the mirror applauded. Damien waited outside in a midnight tux, pocket square echoing her navy. The door opened. His jaw, traitorously, dropped. You clean up too," she said, fighting a grin. "Breathtaking," he finished, and offered his arm as if he'd always meant to. The charity gala bloomed with flashes. Damien Moreno with a woman, an actual date, was enough to redirect every camera. Lena didn't try to command the room. Somehow she did anyway. The gown traced light along her frame, and her calm poise told a story before she spoke. He kept close, not possessive, just present, introducing her sparingly, steering her away from the hungriest lenses, making her laugh with razor-soft asides. They danced once, twice. Her fingers rested at his cuff as though they'd rehearsed. By the time they slipped home under starlight, they were both wrung out and smiling. On the back porch, the same swing where Lena had once cried, she whispered, "Thank you." "You're remarkable," he said simply. "The world should act like it knows." For a handful of hours, it did. Morning, however, had other plans. By breakfast the internet had detonated. Mystery date revealed, divorced lawyer with a dark past. From legal drama to high society, worthy of Nigeria's last eligible bachelor? Damaged woman in designer heels. Her phone pulsed mean-spirited commentary. DMs brimmed with poison disguised as curiosity. Lena froze on the couch, scrolling, breath shortening. Taze surged and wouldn't obey. "This is why I stopped going out," she choked. "I hid for a reason. Now I'm a headline too." Damien found her there, eyes swollen, shoulders caved, as if someone had taken a chisel to the fragile quiet they'd built. He didn't pretend the noise wasn't loud. He didn't tell her to ignore it. He crouched to her eye level and spoke like a pact. If they are going to speculate, he said evenly, let's give them something real. She blinked. Real? You don't have to leave for London, he said. Her mouth parted. He continued, steady. Stay. With me. How do you, London? She asked, stunned. He exhaled, bracing for impact. I overheard you that night on the porch, he admitted. And I couldn't stop thinking about you. I called my investigator. I needed to understand. Everything I learned made me want to know you more. You investigated me. The words were small and huge. I did, he said, unflinching. Because I wanted the truth, not gossip. And the truth is you're extraordinary. Lena's eyes filled again for a different reason. You'll change your mind, she murmured. I'm not like the women you date. I'm not perfect. He leaned closer, forehead almost touching hers. Lena, I haven't thought about perfect in years. His mouth grazed hers, gentle, then certain. When he drew back, his voice was hushed and anchored. You changed my life in 2 weeks more than anyone has in years. Let me make space for you, for as long as you want it. She tried to summon a defense. None arrived. The house seemed to listen as she closed her eyes and breathed like she hadn't in months. When she opened them, her fear and hope wore the same shape. Okay, she said. One word, full of doors opening. He smiled, real, unguarded, and pulled her into an embrace that felt like a decision. Later, they made breakfast together, his knife steadying under her guidance, her laugh returning in bright, unself-conscious bursts. He washed the dishes without being asked, then pinned her note back to the fridge like a flag. Their phones kept buzzing, as they would for a while. The internet would keep inventing versions of them. But inside the marble and glass, the routines had decided to merge. His jazz curling around her humming, her candles softening his edges, 2 toothbrushes where there had been none. When Mr. and Mrs. Moreno called that evening, curiosity laced with triumph, Damien didn't bother with a speech. He put them on speaker, and Lena said hello, gracious and amused. Mrs. Moreno laughed like someone whose gamble had paid off. Mr. Moreno cleared his throat, trying to sound surprised. Dinner soon, Damien said. At my place. Our place. He caught Lena's glance and didn't look away. Later, on the porch swing beneath the same slow sky, Lena tucked herself into his side. I was going to make this my last good memory before I left, she confessed. Make it the first instead, he answered. And for the first time, she could picture staying. Not because the house was beautiful, because she finally felt safe in it. Because she'd chosen it, and he'd chosen her back.